All right, guys, welcome back to Desi Beats. In the studios, man, I've got Gary, Mr. MMA, kick ass. Gary Mangat, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, good, man. First of all, congratulations on your last fight. Like we were saying earlier, I was watching the fight, turned it on YouTube, went upstairs to get a cup of chai, come back downstairs, the fight's done. So, I mean...
Well, that's a good thing, though, man. That's a good thing. Got quickly in and out.
Yeah.
I apologize for the break there, but...
No, it's all good, man. Hey, you know what? Let me ask you this. You know, what was it about MMA fighting that you decided to jump in? Was the fact, going out every week and getting your head kicked in kind of enticed you? Like, what was it?
No, man. I'd never been in a street fight before that.
Okay.
It was actually... it was the challenge and being told that I could not do it. I was told, as soon as I even brought up the idea to the crew that I was with at that time, they laughed right away because I was the smallest guy in the group. Right. And so, so as soon as that kind of got brought up, I was like, okay, this is something I need to challenge myself, because my whole life I've always been told what I can and I can't do. And dude, I don't know how fighting found me. It could have been anything. I could have been an actor, could have been a singer, but I didn't feel like I had talent for any of those. But it's something about the purity of fighting and the challenge of it that made it so hard, man. And honestly, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I still don't know what I've gotten myself into. But it's just, once you're so deep in, you can't pull out now. And you know what? I'm in here. I'm doing it. And I get the job done.
Oh, yeah, well, I was going to say, if you don't know what you're doing, well, you could have fooled us while you're in the ring, bro. You know what? Let's go back then, kind of like when you're thinking about getting into the UFC. Like, what were your parents thinking? Like, I mean, I'm assuming you were like, where you go to school, were you working at the time? Probably had like a blue collar job.
Yeah. I moved up here from my hometown, from Williams Lake, BC.
Oh, no way. Cool, man.
To become an accountant. I was going to BCIT, financial management and accounting. So it's a totally different side of life.
Slightly.
Yeah. So when I told my parents, trust me, my parents are like any other parents, man. First of all, they didn't take me seriously, and rightfully they shouldn't, because I've said a lot of things in my life where I'm like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I've never lived up to it. Once it got tough, I put it on the back burner and moved on to the next easy path I was looking for. Yep. So this was just another one of those things. Another thing is they thought it was just something I was doing for fun to get the stress off of accounting. They didn't know that this had become just an obsession, a fire that had been lit, and it was just something that every day was just growing and growing and growing. My obsession to how hard it was, how many different things had to be learned and stuff like that, and just the physical and mental aspect of it, and it just grew on me every single day. And from there, it just became a 24 hours at a time obsession, and that 24 hours became months, and then it became years, and now here we are today.
But can you recall, or what was the defining moment, or some event, or what was it? You're like, you know what, MMA, this is what I'm gonna do. Is there a single pinpoint?
No, there isn't really a defining moment. There's moments where I've had to look at myself and say, listen, you talk a lot of talk, now walk the walk for once. I had to say that to myself. And I know there's a lot of people that can't do that.
Yeah, I'm one of them, man.
There's a lot of people that can BS their way there. But fighting is the most purest thing, where you can BS and talk to everybody you want about it, but you're going to be in the cage and none of that talk's going to matter. Yeah. Because another guy's coming to take your head off, and he doesn't care to hear what you have to say. He's there to do one thing. So for me, it was just how tough it was. The defining moment, I would say, that kept me together was that on my first training session, I literally got my rib cracked and my tooth went through my lip. And I'm like, I'm done with this. I had an asthma attack in like the first 40 minutes I was there. I have asthma. And and then I sat there, I went to the temple, I sat there, I prayed. I'm like, listen, every time something gets tough, I walk away from it. How about for once I stick with something 24 hours at a time? I really didn't know what I was saying. Like I said, if someone had shown me the entire timeline of these are the hurdles and roller coasters, I don't know if I would have done this, right? But that's the beauty of life. You take everything 24 hours, you take everything a moment at a moment, and you don't know where it's going to lead you and what it's going to take you to. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Had someone show me everything that was going to happen, all the setbacks, everything, I probably wouldn't be doing it. I don't think a lot of us would even take the path that we're on right now had we see where it's all going to end. So I just took it one path at a time, and that's it.
I mean, you know what, man? Like, if I went for the first time, got my ribs broken, I got asthma, fuck me, bro. You know what I mean? I'd have been done a long time ago. But props to you for hanging in there.
Thank you.
I mean, success is obviously there. So let's go back. You're in the game now. You start training. You obviously, I think you started in Vancouver, yes?
Yeah.
How'd that go? And then what was because now you're out in Montreal.
Yeah.
You're basically, training with the big boys, which is really cool to see. So if you can kind of give me kind of like the synopsis of how it worked out and, and in the sense of how, like, the struggles you went through, because a lot of people
struggles, we could be here all night.
You know what? It's all good, man. Because one thing, and it is like, oh yeah, man, Gary Mangat, blah 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 blah. Easy ride. It's not, bro. Like people really need to understand the struggles you went through to get to this point. I mean, if you can kind of explain that.
Well, I can just kind of sum it up as much as I can, because I've been on the road for about 7 years now of this path, and man, I can barely sum it up probably an hour. What's happened in the past week leading up to this, the fight that just happened. Like, it's unreal what kind of stuff you go through. But like how it all started was that I went to a bar here on Scott Road, and there was a guy who was from Vancouver who was fighting on the UFC that night. I'm like, wow, there's actually a guy from Vancouver who's fighting on here. I went and Googled the name that he was from, then I drove around, and at that time, this was 2008. 2008, MMA isn't really legal in Vancouver, so let alone MMA gyms. Yeah. So the MMA gyms had to be kind of hidden away in warehouses. So this gym was out in Port Kells. I'd never driven over into Port Kells area. Yeah. It's kind of like hidden away in the bushes.
Kind of a hidden jewel.
Exactly. Yeah. And I drove around for at least 3 hours. Like I was just driving. My Google Map wasn't picking it up. I don't even know if Google Map existed in 2000. I'm not. But
it wasn't very good.
Yeah. No, I had that MapQuest. I had MapQuest. I had it printed on a piece of paper, and I'm following it, and I couldn't find the place. And literally, like at the last second, I'm like, I'm done with this. I can't find it. I just happened to find it, and then from there, just faith. Like had I not just stuck with it for another 5 minutes, I probably wouldn't even be doing this, because I just would have been like, 3 hours is a long time to be searching for a place where you're already nervous to even go in and see what it's all about. You've never done anything. And I was just like, I just happened to find it. The gym was just about to shut down. I'm like, okay, I'll come back tomorrow. At least I know where it is. So that's when the next day happened, when I got my ribs broken and all that stuff and stuff like that. And dude, like, fast forward from that is that I started training with some of the best guys. The thing is, I earned respect in the gym through my hard work and dedication. Yeah. I wasn't a talented fighter. I still say I'm not a talented fighter. I don't know the sport. I'm not naturally gifted at anything. It's just I've been given 3 things that my father always taught me: faith, hard work, and dedication. And I can apply to anything. If I want to become an NBA player, like had I kind of picked this up, I probably could have figured out a way to get there just with those 3 things in mind. With anything I wanted to do. Yep. So I had those 3 things going into it. It was the same 3 things I used to use in school. And that's where I started picking it up. And I started putting the hard work, dedication every day. It wasn't a hobby. People were like, oh, you're doing this for fun. No, dude. This was my obsession. When I wasn't in the gym, I was on YouTube studying whatever random things I could find. I wasn't understanding what I was even watching, because I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to throw a jab, a punch, a kick, a takedown. I didn't know how to wrestle. I didn't know postures. I didn't know movement. I didn't know fakes. I didn't know anything. But I used to download the UFC after the weekend, and I used to take notes on it. Just endless notes, how I used to take in lectures in school for accounting. It was the same thing, but I didn't even know what I was taking notes on. Like George St. Pierre, like, why is he moving this way? Little things. Nobody was telling me what I was taking notes on. I just learned it that way. From there, just kept building. Until eventually I got called out by my coach. It's like, listen, you've been training for about 7 months. It's time for you to step in the ring. I was like, oh man, this was all fun to say to myself that, yeah, one day I'm going to be in the UFC, one day I'm going to do this. Now I got called out on my bluff. I'm like, stomach started turning, like I'm ready to cry. I'm like, dude, I'm done with this. Like, your body just sees it. Yeah. I still have that moment up until today when I sign a fight. Yeah. I still have those same butterflies, that same anxiety, same everything. He's like, you're fighting in the States on 2 weeks notice. And like, if you watch the UFC, Randy Couture is going to be there. His son's the main event. Your co-main event. This and this and this. This guy's from Washington. He's good. He's a hometown. I'm like, oh my god, like, this is actually going to happen. Dude, I got a fever at like 101. I was puking because I was just so nervous. I made myself sick. And I went in there and I beat the guy. I went 3 straight rounds with him with like barely no skill. I had no skill. I just had heart. There were submissions that he had me in. There was the crazy thing was, what didn't make me tap was there was a biker guy in the front row in Washington. Washington kind of has a kind of a redneck kind of area. This is where the fights were. There's a biker guy in the front who's like, rip his brown arm off and send him back. Dude, this guy literally had my arm ready to tap. And I'm like, no. Wow. Dude, I couldn't move my arm for 3 weeks after that fight. But I got that arm back in that moment, beat him for the next 3 rounds, won my fight. My coach just take me in the back. They're like, listen, you don't got the skill yet, but you have something you can't train hard.
Yeah.
So that from there we can build the skill. But only some people have heart. Some people back out. Some people can't get through moments. We can build the skill. That's fine. But it's the heart. So from there, just kept building. Eventually won the title, the featherweight title 3 years down the road. Then got recruited up by Montreal TriStar Gym, where some of the best fighters, and that was a dream come true because I had George St. Pierre and these guys as my posters and stuff like that. And now I was training with those guys. And but the struggle, all that struggle in between, to even get to Montreal, to even get there, man, there was a point where I had to have 3 jobs. My shoulder was popped out. The doctors had told me end this. My shoulder popped out in the middle of a fight. Had to pop back in the middle of a fight. I couldn't walk. I've had to give up title shots. Financially, totally finished because no sponsor support. Parents turning against me. Family turning against me. Everyone's saying, give it up. What's wrong with you? There's just so much that is just... I'm hoping one day there'll be a movie, right? And don't
worry, I got a new hook for that. Don't worry about that.
One day there'll be a movie, I'm hoping. But I know what you mean when you say there's people like Gary this, he had it easy, dude, man. I have not had it. It's like what you do in the darkness, what you do when the lights are off, you get rewarded in the light.
Yeah.
But you don't understand what goes on. It's the same thing people say about Mayweather and stuff. Right? Like Mayweather, I don't like the whole flash with the money and stuff, but I know people that have gone and trained with Mayweather, they're like, dude, we've never seen somebody with a work ethic stronger than this guy.
But it shows, man.
It shows, but people are just think he's just some sort of cocky guy. Yeah, he is. His personality is. But when it comes to work ethic for the sport, it really is hard work, and that's what it is. Hard work, dedication. This guy's in the gym. Apparently, he does more than anything, and I've had teammates of mine that have gone there and trained, and they've been around some of the world's best fighters, and they're like, that guy's work ethic is... uncomparable.
Well, I mean, look at his record. And he didn't fight, whatever he is, 47, whatever. He's like punk fighters, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, critics for you. But you know what? We're going to play some songs. We'll be right back. Have the Shortbread guys. We got Gary Mangat in the studios, man. This guy's just crazy. Welcome back to the show, guys. This is Desi Beats. We got Gary Mangat in the studios, man. This guy is a deadly force, and his arms and legs, his mouth, nose, ears should be registered with the police because he'll just annihilate you, and you know what I mean? So... But, you know what? Thanks again for coming in, man. I know you got a busy, hectic schedule. Part of the show, man, I have a segment called The Full Cheap Ones. So basically what that is, like a funny story. Like, for example, like last night I went to Save On Foods to get some paneer. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find the paneer, and they're all like looking at me. She's like, the goatie's like, what's paneer? What's paneer? So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure, in your journeys of life here, you probably have some sort of story you can maybe share with your fans and, my listeners.
One of them would be the first time I went to Montreal. Now one thing is that I don't get starstruck too easy. Especially after you meet a few people, you kind of realize that some people you want to meet, some people you don't, that you've seen on TV and so on. George St. Pierre, being one of the best UFC fighters, if not one of the best martial artists, is one of the guys that I've looked up to and whose YouTube videos I used to watch as just motivation and stuff like that. Now I get invited up to the gym that he trains at, and I'm like, I'm actually going to see this guy for the first time. So the first day we're there, I didn't see him. So I'm just like, okay, one of these days I'm going to see him. So I'm training. In the middle of a training session, I'm with my training partner, and there's like a very simple move that like anybody knows, a single little takedown. And out of the corner of my eye, I see him walk in. He's walking in with his suitcase. He always walks in with his Under Armour suitcase. And I literally just did the takedown, like not even looking at George, and just plowed right into my teammate's knee and put myself out. and I put myself out. I'm like, oh man. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, George St. Pierre is here. George St. Pierre is here. And my lip is like bleeding. And I'm like, he's like, dude, relax.
Can I get an autograph, bro?
Yeah, he's like, relax. One thing we were told was not to go kind of great, but I'm like, dude, like this is one guy. After that, I can't really think of anybody that I can really meet where I'm like, oh man, that was kind of like that person. And put myself out, and then I'm just like, I forgot my name when I was talking to him, and I was like, it was. I
would too, man. I mean, you say what you want. I mean, the legend of the sport, right?
Now getting to know him, one of the most amazing, humble people I've ever met, and just getting to know our stories are somewhat kind of similar in some ways. Like, coming up in a small town, being picked on, coming up, but that was my first impression on him. And I'm known as the little Indian guy in TriStar. No, actually, you know what I'm known as? I'm known as the one accountant that got away. That's what they call me there. They're like, out of 1 billion people, how did your ass make it here? There.
You know what?
That's what the coaches always say. They're like, out of all the billion of people, they sent me you.
Man, don't kid yourself. I'm sure you're doing these guys' taxes at the end of the year.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm giving them financial advice and management advice. Trust me, they need it, man. They need it.
So, what was your experience like? You know, your continued experience. You know, obviously it's a huge stepping stone for you being, you know, with the elite of the elite. You know, kind of like, is it fair to say, you know, the main part of the sport being in Montreal? You know, I mean, I can't even imagine what the experience would be.
Yeah,
like.
it's crazy, especially when there's a George St. Pierre training camp going on, when he's getting ready for a fight. Yeah, he's retired now, but he's still in the gym training. But I got there when he was making his comeback. He had come off a very bad injury, so there was a lot of hype on George St. Pierre's comeback. There was like okay, here, when I'm training at the gym, I know if there's media coming in. I know if there's a news channel or something, and I know those are the people that are going to be there. I also know what teammates are going to show up to training, because we usually call each other and be like this. Dude, I used to show up to TriStar, there'd be Fox News over here, Fox Sports over here, ESPN over here, UFC camera. Like, there'd be more wires of camera just running around filming everything than there would be. We'd be signing consensus forms and stuff like that, just trying to, like, let our identity out there. And, just being in that environment and then walking in and just randomly seeing all these UFC fighters that I've been watching on TV and just randomly just show up. It just became so normal. You're like, wonder who it's going to be today, right? You'd be like, Rashad Evans is right there, and this guy's are like, you know, guys that you've just seen on TV. And now they're just there right in front of you. Like, it became so normal after a while, because there was new guys. He was flying in every week, and there was new people. There's new type of people. But I'd only seen these people on TV when I was following the sport. Yeah. So that was crazy. And the thing is, the level of training goes up. And the reason the level of training goes up is because you don't know what footage they're going to use for these countdown shows that you see on TV and UFC countdown. You don't want to be on the receiving end of a clip where you're getting the shit kicked out of you. Yeah. Right? You don't want to be, oh, Gary, you look like you were getting taken down pretty bad there, even though you might have been. So everybody turns it up. Everybody turns it up. When they kind of see a camera, like, you know, we're trying to take each other out. Yeah. And just the level just goes up, and it's because you don't know what's going to end up. So the intensity in the place, especially when there's like, a thing about Montreal gym is, they always have 5-6 guys on every UFC card. Yeah. So that's pretty crazy. You got usually experience. Most gyms have one guy that kind of fights in the UFC, but you got 5-6 guys, plus each one of those guys has about 2 to 3 trainers to each guy. Yeah. Plus other training partners they brought in. Yeah. Plus the intensity they're picking up. And you say that I'm not training for a fight and I'm sparring a guy that is. I can't spar like I don't have a fight coming up. I gotta spar like I have a fight coming up, because that guy's gonna spar me that way. He'll take my head right off. I've seen guys literally like go out. Like, I've seen some of the worst knockouts inside the gym that I've ever seen in the UFC. And that's just how training goes. It's just such a hostile environment that just makes you cold. You have to become cold in that environment.
Well, it's also fair to say, being in that environment, by not, you know, you assimilate, you know, like, because you're there, right? I mean, you the training you probably see just by watching must be just epic.
Yeah. That, and just the intensity, man. The intensity can't be compared. I don't see half the intensity in UFC fights than what we see in the training room of these guys preparing for them. So as much as, like, you know, people are like, oh, he's training with George, how did he get that job? Dude, it's not about going there. I didn't go to Montreal to get George's autograph. I didn't go there to hang out with him. Yeah, exactly. I went there to train with the best guys. So if anybody's talking about why does he go there, dude, I earned my way in there. I got accepted into the team. I got accepted into the family, where the coaches text me, like, they texted me on the weekend, like, when are you coming back? You know, like, I'm part of that team. I'm part of that family, because I earned my way in. It's not because I went and signed a paper or something like that. I went there, I proved it in training every day. I worked my ass off every single day. I mixed in with where I added to the team. That's one thing. You get respect in MMA when you add to your team. If you're a shitty fighter, then you're not adding anything, and no, you don't earn that respect. If I can beat down one of my training partners, he will shake my hand after. Then a time where he gets an easy round on me, he won't respect me, because I haven't pushed him to that point where he has to figure himself out. I'm like a puzzle. He needs to figure himself out, and that's what good training is. That's why you travel to different places. You can't train with the same guys, and you can't train with low level guys. Right? There's certain times you can, but most of the time you can't. If you're getting ready for a fight, you gotta train with guys always better than you. A lot of guys are scared to go into that discomfort of training with guys better, because their ego every day will be broken down, and they don't want to feel that. Those are the guys that never really make it. It's the guy, if you notice, if you talk to UFC fighters, if you talk to high level fighters, they are some of the most humble people, because their ego is broken down every single day. So look at guys like George. His personality is amazing. That guy's more respectful than, like, some of the amateur fighters around here, who just walk around with their head high. Dude, the guy's the best fighter in the world. He has every reason to be cocky. He has every reason to have an ego. I know, man. Right? It's because
cockiness is ugly, man.
He's the student. He's a student, and it's a humble process.
Yeah. Do you think I'm gonna play the racial card here. Being an Apna, did that have any factor in anything that you feel, or it was just all hard work? It didn't matter what color your skin.
No, I don't think it had a factor. It had it was hard work. It was hard work. The one thing is, had I gone into, like, I'm not in the UFC yet. I'm hoping that it's coming very soon.
Yeah.
Had I gone in the UFC when I was, say, 4-0 or something like that, 4-1, you can play the race card on me. You can say, listen, man, this guy got in because it's a 4-0 record and nobody else gets in. My record's 7-1 now. Yeah. My record's better than a lot of the weight division that I'm trying to get in that's already in the UFC. Right. So they can't even play the race card on me anymore. Yeah. They can't pull that shit on me anymore now. Yeah. Because had I got in around 4-0, I'm like, okay, they need an Indian guy. They need the Indian market. That's why they're picking me up in this and that. They can't play that shit on me anymore because I am top ranked now. Yeah. I am number 2 ranked in Washington now after beating that guy on the weekend. I made him look like it was number 10. Yeah, right? That's me. That's just me. That was the hard work. That wasn't me playing some race card. Yeah. Right? Yes, I have a market that I can capture. Yes, I can do all that stuff. I do have a lot of opportunities. But as far as the basis of what I have to perform at, which is in a cage, to earn that, I still have to do it with normal ranked guys, man. I don't get any kind of pushover dude. It's not just some made up
shit. No, of course, man. Speaking of Indian, let's talk about the trip to India. I know for me personally and a bunch of us that are MMA fans, I mean, say what you want about the league out there, whatever the fight was, but it was cool, bro. Like, it was honestly great. Wow, I'm like, our boys out there, doing some damage. I mean, talk about the experience. It was Sanjay Dutt's.
That's still like the league that I just fought for on the weekend. That was that same league.
Okay, cool.
So
I didn't know
that was SFL. This was the first. They wanted to bring that league from India to America. That's why they got me on the card. They wanted me to co-main event it, and they were like,
business savvy.
Exactly. So that's what it was. That's why they were so pumped up about it. That's why they repped it so much, because finally, this is the first time an Indian fought on the league outside of India. But as far as the New Delhi show goes, dude, that was. I still tell these guys, I'm like, thank you so much for that moment. Like, I didn't re-sign with these guys after, but at that time. But the thing is, that moment they gave me and the way they did it was just.
Well, you a rock star, bro.
I remember we were talking about it afterwards.
Dude, all these actresses.
It's the only way that you can put it, because it really was that, because it was 2 different lives, man. Yeah. Like I live here, I can walk around here, I'll meet people that know me and stuff like that. But no one's jumping on me. No one's jumping on my back. No one's grabbing my leg. India, they were doing that, and that was insane. That was like okay, just the lead up to it. Got off at the airport, went to our hotel, and everybody knew we were gonna be there. And I was like, holy crap, what's going on? Is there some Bollywood actor staying here? They're like, no, man, it's you guys. They're putting hearts on us. Like, they're doing like proper like matai and stuff. I'm like, what's going on here, right? So all that stuff's going on. Then they're like, okay, we got to rush you guys to go do this interview. You got to do this. So all this crazy. Then the weigh-ins came. The weigh-ins is the day before the fight, where you step on the scale. You gotta be at that weight. Now, when I do weigh-ins here, usually just the media and probably like whatever, the team, the other fighters' coaches come and they stand there. Dude, there was the New Delhi Mall, whatever it's called, like their big New Delhi Mall there. It's 4 stories. Every floor was packed. And there was a media section downstairs where I would say easily 300 cameras or something. And oh man, when they called the Indian fighters, which was, I was representing India on that one. I came out, stepped on the scale, dude, the energy just made me go ballistic. Like, I usually step up pretty calm. Dude, I lost it. Like, just the camera flashes blinded me. People are up there, and the amount of tweets I got of people from different angles. I didn't even know people knew my Twitter and stuff up there. I'm just sitting in my hotel room after. Then we get off the scale, we're getting dressed. People are breaking through the security through the back to come get pictures, like mothers, girls, guys. Like, just, it was, dude, it was crazy, man. My coach was making fun of me because he was like, he kept posting on Facebook. He's like, yeah, we're up to about 80,000 on him. He's worth about that much now. But then the next day, now the fight day. So that was already good. I'm like, dude, this is nothing. Like, we're looking at all the newspapers coming in. There's Times of India, that's a big newspaper there. What else is there, Hindustan Times and everything like that. Dude, we're on the cover or at least in there somewhere with our picture every single day leading up to that Saturday. From Monday to Saturday, every single day there was a picture.
So is the sport that big there?
It's because
or is it the way they marketed it? Or?
It's not the marketing. It's because, think about it, there was Bollywood presence behind it.
Fair enough.
Bollywood presence has a lot of money to put it to the papers, so they're like SFL, Bollywood Entertainment, this and this. Bipasha was performing. She was the opening act with the other girl. I forgot what her name is, but
you get her digits.
Oh wait, her digits would be like 11 digits. I wouldn't be able to put them in my phone. The +9110111.
That's funny. Sorry, man, I had to ask.
And yeah, it was.
But that's cool though, man. Getting like, because even like, let's take MMA there. They do cricket. Cricket during that 6 weeks is the #1 watch sport and the #1 grossing sport in the world. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of cool, man.
Yeah, and like just the next day was just like after the fight, when the bus was coming in, like, okay, then the anxiety always hits me. I always get mad butterflies and stuff like that. I get nervous. Like, you know, as much as confident as I am, I get nervous before every fight. I don't hide it. I'm scared. I don't know what my opponent can. Anything can happen. I can get embarrassed in front of the world that day. Yeah. You know, especially India, and the fight was a worldwide live stream. You guys were all watching it.
Yeah, we were all watching it.
At 6 o'clock in the morning here, so 6 p.m. out there. And the bus was pulling up, and I've never seen such a long line to get into a building. Dude, it was like at least 6 blocks long. Whoa. People just lined up. Then what happened was I was in the cage. You get to feel out the cage before the show goes live. And I guess they open up the doors all at once or something. And I guess it wasn't assigned seating for the upper levels and stuff. It was wherever you can get a seat, because the Bollywood red carpet was on the ground. They already have their seating. They know they're going to be sitting on the floor. But everybody above,
this is random.
All of a sudden you just see these people filing through those tunnels. You know, like when you go into your section, you file up and you just spread out. Yeah. Dude, I was like standing in the middle and I was just looking around, just filling up seats. I was like, this is for real. This is freaking for real, man. I lost like my breath in that moment. Then after the fight, when I won the fight, I choked the guy out in the second round. Every takedown I did, I heard 12,000 people. I think it was 10,000, 12,000 people cheering. It literally would make the cage shake. And when I won the fight, that's when the shit hit the fan. Yeah. It was, I got the submission of the night that night. And what happened was I went into the crowd just to see these other people that had come out from UK to watch me. And I just went to go say hi. I do that here all the time here too. I go see my family after. Nobody comes and jumps me. Nobody says that. They're like, good job, Gary, good job. Like, everyone's very like, you know. Dude, it was 3 sections next to me, filed out and surrounded me. And security had told us, they're like, don't go out there. I didn't know what the hell that meant. I'm like, okay, I won't go out there. I'm just going to go say hi. I'm not shitting you. There was people crowd surfing their babies into my arms so I can quickly take a picture, then crowd surfing the baby back. It was crazy. There's people that are like, we came from Amritsar, we came from Chandigarh, we came from here, this. I was like, dude, this is
proud
crazy.
Moment, man.
It was a crazy moment. And the thing is, like, yeah, the Bollywood people downstairs, like, you know, they're like, oh, we don't want to take pictures. Me, dude, I was eating it up because I was like, I am one of these people. I'm no different than them.
Yeah, for sure, man.
If I could give somebody a moment, like, I've stood in line for 2-3 hours to get, like, an autograph of somebody.
Yeah, we all have.
Exactly, I've been there. If these are the, like, let me do it. And security's like, yo, it's a security factor. I'm like, they're doing nothing. There's those 7-year-old kids grabbing at me. What are they going to do? Yeah. Right? Let me
take them down.
Yeah, let me side picture. Let me do whatever. People pulling on my shoulder.
Yeah.
Then after I won the submission of the night, and what happened was, all the people were filed around the cage outside. Yep. And I told my teammate, I'm like, listen, hold my check. They gave you a big ass check for the submission. They made it very dramatic. Yeah. And I'm like, he didn't see what had happened earlier when I said all those people filed around. I wanted to show him because he's been with me since day one. I gave him a check and I ran into the crowd. Dude, it was like ants jumping on you. And I was just like, the bus was 2 hours late for me. Yeah. Because I'm like, dude, I want to sign everything. I want to take every picture. I don't want to leave them standing. I want to do it. Like, that's
like, good on you, man. Good on you, honestly. Yeah.
They were just like security was kind of baffled too. They're like, why do you want to stay? Go, like, everyone's waiting. I'm like, no, dude, this is cool. Like,
so, you know, it's a lifetime moment. Is it fair to say one of the most epic moments of your life?
It is the most epic moment, like, so far, that until I take the UFC to India, so far. But it's like, I still get like like on my fan page, I get tags of someone like going, oh, you signed this, or someone like, that's when I saw Saint Lion, I'm like, dude, that's so cool. Like, it's so sitting in someone's house where they're like, probably look at it and probably makes them happy. I'm hoping that like they have that moment. Like, every autograph holds a moment. I know every autograph I have is like, dude, I remember this. I have that moment for a bunch of people, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, it's wicked, man. We're in the studios with Gary Mangat, man, MMA fighter based out of here, the 604. Gonna play some songs. We'll be right back shortly, man. This is Desi Beats. Welcome back to the show. This is Desi Beats. We got MMA fighter Gary Mangat in the studios, man. Repping the 604. How you doing so far, man?
I'm good, man. Having a good time.
That's good, man. Yeah. I mean, you know, if I say something offensive, don't knock me out. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a pretty calm guy. Man. I'm a pretty calm guy.
Another segment on the show, I do like it's basically a bakwas moment. You know, something. I don't know. It's not to explain. It's like bakwas. You know, maybe. You know, I don't know. Something that may have pissed you off, or you know, you're seeing something in the sport that you don't like, or something. You know what I mean? Something that you think. I'm sure you had tons, man.
I know. There's so much that has become normal to me.
Trash talking opponent where you may have said something stupid that really pissed you off. I don't know.
There's so much BS around me where it's become normal.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine, right?
Yeah.
Drawing blanks.
Share one with me.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Like, okay, like for example, like I think bakwas moment for me. I'm a big soccer fan. I think there's not enough opportunity to get allowed to play in the sport. I'll give you my story. When I played, you know, semi-pro, whatever, I was probably better than most of the defensemen on the team, but I didn't play one game. You know what I mean? That was utter bakwas. You know
I got the bakwas moment then.
There we go. What do we got?
All right. For me, I would say, okay. First of all, we pride ourselves on our warrior mentality and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right? We speak it, we live it, we stand tall, especially in Surrey, we all think we're friggin'.
Yeah, we're all thinking,
right?
Yeah.
But why is there not one guy who's made it to the UFC? Why is there not one guy? We're the biggest population of people. So why is there nobody that's really lived up to those values yet?
It's bakwas, you know what I mean? I agree. In anything.
In anything.
Soccer.
And it really comes down to a community factor.
Yeah, I would say.
Like, people need to be supported who step out.
Yeah.
Let people take a chance.
Not hung to dry.
Stop pulling people right back into the circle of normalcy.
Yeah.
It's such BS. And that's probably the thing that I battle with the most, because there are days where I want to go back to 9 to 5 stable, because everybody around me is doing it and it seems like everybody's doing perfect, but nobody has stories like me. Nobody has moments like me. Nobody has stuff where I can probably sit down with my kids one day and never have to open up a book for a bedtime story, because I can just speak on my own experience and put them to sleep every night. Yeah. Right? So that's where, as a community, there's so much talent in our community, but yet we don't support it. And if we do support it, we support somebody else's kid just because we think if someone fails, at least it's not coming back on us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Half-ass support, man.
Half-ass support.
Yeah,
it's like how...
That's a very good point, bro.
But you know what? Put your kid in it. Let your kid take a chance. I bet your kid wants to do it, but you'll be like, no. Yeah, exactly. Trust me. And the thing is, I heard it too. I am so lucky to have parents that kind of came around that, and now they're just the biggest fans of the sport. That was huge, because my parents were that too, and it's completely normal, because 99% of our community's parents and friends and stuff are that they laugh at the person who comes up with an idea that isn't normal, that isn't somehow something we hear every day. And I think that's what we need to break down, because we always hear everyone chase your dreams, this and this and this, but as far as support goes on that, I don't think we really support it, because I don't know. I think there's just a lot of hate and a lot of...
a lot. You know, I agree with you, and I'm not going to lie. First time I heard that you're going, an MMA fighter, and this wasn't a mean thing. It's just a natural thought being from that generation. I can't believe his parents are letting him do this. Not because I was surprised. It's just one of those automatic questions you think. I'm glad you're doing it. It's anything we encourage you, right? But, so let's talk about the culture, because it's really important. First of all, how has the culture embraced you? Probably after you started, winning and getting all the flash.
Saturday.
Saturday.
They started embracing me on Saturday.
Hey, I tweeted you. I asked you on Twitter, man. I didn't get a retweet. And coming back to that, how do you think we can change as a culture to bring more... Maybe not just to the sport of MMA, but generally, whether it's... anything.
I think it's too late now for the generation that's doing it right now.
I agree with you there.
But I'm going to say my kids, I got to plant a seed in them to do what they want, but just have a good intention about it and know that you truly want it and go do what you want.
Yeah.
Right? So now I'm hoping that the next year, and I think it might just happen. I think now we're kind of open-minded a bit more, because first generation is usually our parents, right? They just came from India and whatnot. But now it's up to us. Like, you know, I want to support. Like, I always talk about this. One day when I have kids, if they want to be fighters, they can be fighters. I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. I'm not. But I want them to be open, and I want them to accept. Because the thing is, if we support our own children, then they will be accepting of everybody else. And I'm not just talking about in their dreams. I'm talking about culturally, racially, and everything like that. That's what mixed martial arts has really taught me, is to open up my heart in every way, to accept every kind of religion, every way of culture, every kind of mindset, even mindsets that don't make sense to me, that it's like, dude, you're totally just messed up in the head. But I still listen. I still want to know, where are you coming from? It's because mixed martial arts has made me do that. I have to see the root of everything, and that's and I think that's the only way to do it. I think as far as it goes right now, like look at these kids right now, man. These kids are shooting each other up. They're trying to make $100 off a bag of weed, and they're killing each other over that. Like the cops are laughing at this because they're calling it petty drug dealing or something. Like, you don't even get the proper name for it. Like, you're not even pushing heavy stuff. You're pushing an ounce or something like that, whatever these guys are doing. And
you know what, man? These fuckers ruined my night, because now I can't go out to watch the Pacquiao fight. I'm so scared, man. I'm gonna just get it from home. I'm serious.
One thing that I used to love to do every night. I want
to go to the pub and watch the fight. I don't know if I'm gonna go.
Yeah, one thing that I used to love to do every night and used to inspire me was run the streets of Surrey.
Yeah,
I used to love running on them. I used to love running on 128.
I think I tried to run you over a couple times.
Yeah, I used to love running down 120. As much as people are gonna hate on like Surrey and stuff, I used to love it because I used to love seeing the people and stuff like that, just to get an idea of who I'm representing. Dude, I don't think it's safe to do that anymore. I gotta run on a stupid ass treadmill every night, and I hate that. And it's like I'm staring at a wall. A wall does not motivate me in any way.
Yeah,
right?
no, I know what you're saying.
That's one thing, and I think it's because these kids have been so planted in their head: make money, make money, make money. That's it. Make money in whatever way you can, whatever conniving way you can, whatever. I don't know if they've been installed honest ways. Like me, there's a lot of people around me. I'm not talking. Work hard, make whatever money you can, but work it hard. Don't cheat anybody. Don't screw anybody. Don't do it. And honestly, fighting is like, you can't really screw anybody other than beating the guy. Yeah. But as far as like these kids, they're not really taught any other value than money, and they need it. They need the fast cars. They need the fast living. So what's the best way to do it without an education? Start selling. Start selling something. And now, I'm gonna run this block. I'm gonna run that block. I'm gonna shoot this guy over this. Dude, it's so sad. It's so garbage, and like, I don't know. It's really sad. Like, I came back from Montreal, and it's just become so common. I call back to Montreal every night, and I'm like, yeah, another one.
Yeah,
it's so common. It's messed up, man.
Yeah, it's really messed up. I mean, and it sucks too, because you represent the culture in a certain way.
That's what it is.
I represent the culture a certain way. So I go somewhere else, like, oh, you're from there?
Yeah.
You pack a gun? You're like,
exactly. And the thing is, I'm not from Surrey. I'm from Williams Lake, but I represent Surrey.
It doesn't matter,
I represent Vancouver because when I moved here is when I was inspired to do what I do. So when people are like, you're not even from the 604, you don't even represent Vancouver. No, dude, it's when I came here that I felt like, holy crap, like, this city was like an open playground to me, where I came from a small city where you either work in the mill, you either do something else, you leave a small town to find this land of opportunity. Right? Just like our parents came from India to find this land of opportunity, we, us from small towns, do the same thing. And so that's why I represent the 604. I'm not from it, I'm from the 250. But the 604 is what I represent, but I do take pride in Surrey still. There's still a lot of good people here. There's amazing people here, right? I agree. So a few bad apples, like 21 guys over, half a
something like that,
people or something. Yeah. There's a lot of good people and there's a lot of good things going on, and I do still represent it. I still talk proudly of it, and I'm just hoping that there'll be change. Like, I went to a high school, did a motivational speech the other day, and I can tell that these kids want a chance. They want to find something fun to do. They want to do something different, step out the box. That's the next generation right there. Yeah. Right? And you got to go in there and you got to teach them hard work. Somewhere that shit got lost. Somewhere the idea of hard work and dedication to earn anything got lost.
You know what? It's one of those things where, there's a bunch of factors, but you know what? And I actually talked about it on last week's show. I don't know if you ever tuned in, but you know what? I'm sorry to say it, man, but mums as well. The mums, they I've seen it with my own eyes. Like,
I bring that up and people get defensive on me. They can't blame the parents. You can't blame the...
Well, who else you gonna fucking blame, man?
People are like, the kids they surround themselves with, their circle, and it has all those factors to do with it. But
there's always one trigger.
There's always one trigger, and
right?
Yeah, there's always one trigger. And I also think, like, you can't blame the parents entirely, because most parents are trying to financially take care of their family. So they're working those extra hours. They're working those long hours. I'm not speaking for everyone, but from a few, like, you know, I'm just, like, you know, you're probably talking about a completely different niche that you witness, and I'm talking about something different. And, like, you know, you see hardworking parents putting in the overtime. They're not around for their kids.
That's the problem.
That is the problem.
See, kids don't want money.
Yeah.
Nobody wants money.
Yeah.
I will take recognition over money any day.
Yeah.
You talk to most people at work, right? Yeah, money's great, but they just want to be recognized.
Yeah.
If you cannot recognize your own kids, right? You know what I mean? Then what's the point? Like, and at the end of the day, I understand what you're saying. You can't blame the parents. You know, dad's working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
He's, you know, forced to buy an $800,000 house. Bought his bratty son a Corvette, which he's paying for.
Yeah.
Comes home from a double shift.
Yeah.
Last thing he wants is bullshit at home. He just wants to put on the TV and not hear anything.
Exactly.
You know, and it's a vicious cycle.
And that's what it is.
You know what? It is what it is, man. But you know what? Let's get to the most important question of the day: is when are we gonna see you in the UFC, or is when the UFC gonna be in you, bro? When are you taking it to India?
I know. I want it to be soon. We're talking to them right now. We're trying to see what's going on. Just the thing is, right now, the talent over in India hasn't been developed, and the market for MMA in India hasn't been fully developed.
Right.
That's the only thing. They do have it on CTV, or they have it on some channel. They're playing UFC all the time. They play them for free. The pay-per-views we pay for, they play for free in India, just so they can get people to tune in.
Cool.
It's just and they're working on a game plan of putting a lot of Bollywood names behind it. Like, you know,
I think it'll help.
It does help.
Yeah.
It definitely helps. Like, look at that pro Kabaddi league.
Yeah.
Right? They got
picked up.
They got picked up because apparently they did because I was with Amir Khan's manager on the weekend. He came to my fight, and he was like, dude, now 1 in 4 people watch pro Kabaddi league. 1 in 4 people in India. That's 1 billion person, and 1 in 4 watch it now.
What was that, like 400 million?
It's more ratings than you get for like the FIFA Cup and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And before Kabaddi was what, on PTC? Where there was a bunch of bobbes sitting there just like watching. Like, it wasn't anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't recognized, but now they got like uniforms on them. And I think that's the same thing they're gonna have to do for MMA, right? They gotta put kind of brand recognition of Bollywood actors who are like...
Yeah, they're gonna have to brand it, I think, their way. They're gonna be something, hopefully Dana White will be cool
and
with it.
I'm hoping that they just pick me up in the UFC where people are just like, oh man, there's an Indian guy, let's just see what it's all about.
Yeah.
And that's where
the mystique of Gary.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You know what, man? It's been an absolute pleasure having you in the studio.
Thank you.
It was a great conversation.
Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Really appreciate you being open and honest about the culture. Very, very rare that we get, you know, people of your, you know, caliber and your, you know, influence that are able to openly speak about that. Some words of advice for your, you know, there's a lot of people listening that, you know, that maybe 1 or 2 of them that maybe want to go into the MMA.
Yeah.
Any words for them?
Word of advice for anything, man. It would be, whether it's MMA, whether it's anything, go into anything with an open mind. Don't expect anything from it. That's one thing. Don't expect anything from it. When I was first doing it, I was like, oh, I'm going to be in the UFC in 2 years. I didn't know what that even meant. I thought you had to win, like, you got to sign up in, like, a Vancouver tournament here at Capilano College, and you fight that in the UFC. No, I didn't understand the struggle, the ladder, and everything. And embrace the struggle. Embrace the freaking struggle. Embrace it as something positive. It's hard on days. There's days when... there's days when I've wanted to quit this sport easily at least 200 times, like 300 times. Right? I've walked away from it. I've had doctors try to pull me away from it. I've had concussions where doctors are like, dude, you're better off if you want to see your kids, if you want to live a life, if you don't want to be like Ali with your hand shaking and shit, you quit now. Dude, I've had all those days. I've had those in Montreal where I went there to train. Instead, I've spent more time in a hospital and stuff like that. These are all the stories that people don't know about, but what builds you. What builds you into the person you are, right? So I will only be judged by my performances in the cage, but you don't know what happens out before that. The struggle that leads up to it. But just embrace the grind. When you can embrace it for yourself, that's when you'll start enjoying it, and just enjoy the journey. That's really it. Whatever you do, I don't care if you're fighting, I don't care if you're doing gymnastics, I don't care if you're doing school, whatever you're doing, that's what you have to do. Cool,
man. Shameless promotion time. Someone wants to get a hold of you, you know, send you their baby to get, you know, their head stamped with an autograph and stuff. How can they get a hold of you? Where can they find out about you, bro?
Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Saint Lion, SAINT Lion, Lion, all one word, on Twitter and Instagram. Always on it.
Yeah,
always
he's a Twitter junkie, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
well,
it's cool.
But see, the
Best
thing
place
is,
to get a hold of you.
yeah, but see, the thing is, exactly, it is. But see, the thing is, I'm not a YouTuber who's putting up videos every week. I'm not one of those people. I only fight every 3-4 months.
Yeah.
If I'm not on Twitter and Instagram, you're gonna forget me. You're never gonna know what's going on about me. I'm just randomly gonna pop up on the scene for like 3 minutes on Saturday, beat the guy, and disappear for another 6 months. You're never gonna be like, where'd he go? He won his fight, now he's gone. This way you get to follow the journey in a way. I try to put out inspirational stuff. I try to put out fitness videos. I try to put out something that can help your day while you're still in tune with mine. Because at the end of the day, I have a hashtag Team St. Lion, and it's kind of like a journey. It's kind of like I want everybody to kind of like be inspired by it, and we all kind of move forward together. While I'm training for my fights, I want you to take whatever words or video or some sort of motivation and put it towards your workout, put it towards your goal, whatever you're doing. That's what I have to do. I have to keep building it together. It's not just about me. It's I go and fight. I go and use all my words and put them there. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to inspire with this. This is the community I'm trying to change. The community that's messed up. The community that's shooting each other. This is my mission. These are the people, right? Yeah. Fighting is the purest art. If I don't think half the people would take me seriously if I was like a world chess player. Right, you know what I mean? Fighting is so pure. It'll happen at the bar. It'll happen at home. It'll happen with your wife and husband. It's so pure that you can't help but relate to it. Yeah. And watch it, and then all of a sudden there's this guy who talks respectful and humbly and kind of has inspirational. You're like, no, the fights that I know is usually a guy swearing and some guys come at me and this and this. That's not who I am. That's not what I am at all. Yeah. But I can hold my own pretty good.
Well, you know what, man? Contrary to popular belief, you are extremely influential. You're an asset to our culture. I can't say that enough. I really hope and pray, things go well for you. The UFC picks you up. It's just a matter of time, in my opinion. Right. And you continue to take our culture and kind of move it forward. So for that, man, I thank you. I appreciate your time, man. Gary Mangat, man, in the studios, man, MMA fighter.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
Back to some music. We're going to play some Back Down. This guy was in the video as well.
Yeah, I was in that video.
Baby. Right here on Desi Beats. Take care.